We're going to be working with Bridge CS5 here, and we're going to talk about what Bridge is and different methods of organization for my images. So Bridge is an additional program to Photoshop that allows me to sort and organize and browse, locate different images, view different images, all different kinds of media, in fact. And it also allows me to add descriptive information to my images that will allow me to look for them later on. So let's go ahead and look at the different panels that are in Bridge. You can see over here I've got my folders and my tabs on the left. I've got my favorites and my folders tab on the left, and you'll notice the hierarchy of folders here. This becomes really important because this is a real visual view of how my folders are located in association to each other. So for example, on my desktop here, I've got these three folders that I'm able to see right now, and underneath the Crappers folder here inside of it, you can see how that just extends like that. These are all the subfolders that are located inside. I can also see that orientation across the top here horizontally represented on the desktop. I have the Crappers folder that I'm looking at. Inside of that, I know now that I'm inside here in this content panel, I'm inside the working folder. So that becomes really useful. This is all the images inside the working folder. I also have this subfolder JPEG here that I could open up as well. I want to point out that I can use these back and forth arrows just like a web browser to go back and forth. I've gone back one folder here, one directory. So now I'm in the working folder. I can go forward again into that JPEG folder, but I want to go back just so we can look at other options. So this is how my folders are located here on my computer. I have various main locations under favorites such as desktop, document, pictures. I also want to talk about the layout of Bridge. So right now I want to point out that this is highlighted where it says Essentials, and that's one view in Bridge. I can click on these others. I can click on Film Strip, Metadata, and I can also drag this out so you can see more options. There's a bunch in here, but know that you don't really have to see all of them. You can collapse it if you're not interested in looking at that. So I'm going to go back to Essentials because that's predominantly what I'm going to be working in. Also, I want to point out that if I've clicked on a certain image here, I have a nice big preview window of that image. I can use my slider bar to manipulate that. I can adjust this metadata and keywords panel down here as big or as small as I want it. I can double click on that panel and that will collapse that. And metadata is really wonderful if you're not familiar with that because that tells you exactly how you shot that image, and that can be very useful later. Let's go ahead and talk about the icons across the top here. Okay, so far we've covered the back and forth arrow. We also have a quick link to my various folders here. I also have my most recent documents that I've been working with here in Photoshop. I have different folders on my desktop. I have a way to download images from my camera here. I have a quick connection to Camera Raw here. I have a quick link to Output here. Output would be things like PDFs or web galleries, and that's really convenient. Let's go ahead and talk about how to further organize my images. You can see here I have a 3-star rating and a red label. That can help me if I start doing that with other images here because I can go over and I can decide how I want to filter a certain search. So let's say I have 25, 75 images, a large amount of images, and I want to go through and select maybe 5 of them that I think are really exceptional. I can go through and give certain star ratings or certain colored labels that will help me search and sort and filter these later on. So let's go ahead and do that. So far I've given this a 3-star rating. Let's go ahead and I'm holding down Command and I'm selecting these individually, or I can hold down Shift and select a big category. And I want to go ahead and go up to label, and I can choose what rating or what label I want to do. So let's go ahead, like I said, give it a 3-star rating, and eventually that will come up. You can see how it pushed it to one side of my panel here. Like I said, that will become really useful if you have a large amount of images to work through. Now there's also shortcuts that are listed here too, and those can become very convenient. Let's go ahead and pick another colored label. Okay, so I've got my red label here and my 3-star rating.